In this video, I'll show how the economy achieves the market equilibrium and how the equilibrium changes when there's going to be shift in demand and supply. So market equilibrium is achieved when quantity supply is equal to quantity demand. Yeah, at this point here, where QD equals to QS. Yeah, so you can see over here that is the equilibrium point. Now, how does the economy reach to the equilibrium point? Yeah, so this concept here, we call it the invisible hand concept. So in order to understand the concept, let's look at price PB first. Yeah, now at price PB, we can see that the quantity demand is at point A. Can you see? The quantity is QB. And the quantity supply is at point B, where the quantity is QA. So technically, can you see? The quantity supply is greater than the quantity demand. So in this case here, we say there is a surplus or there is excess supply. There is more quantity supplied as compared to quantity demanded. Now, what happens is that in this situation, what the suppliers will do, the suppliers need to clear up their stock because there is excess supply. So what the suppliers will do, the suppliers now will reduce the price to clear the stock. When we talk about law of supply, when price decrease, quantity supply also decreases. So you see, initially the quantity supply was at QA. Yeah, when the price decreases, quantity supply is going to decrease. So the quantity supply will decrease from QA to QE here. At the same time, what will happen is that when the price decreases, yeah, now let's look into the demand side. When the price decreases, what the consumers will do? They will increase the quantity demand. Therefore, quantity will increase. Can you see the quantity demand is increasing from QB to QE? And the economy will automatically reach its equilibrium price, where the quantity supply is equal to quantity demand. Yeah, next we look into shortage, where the quantity demand is greater than the quantity supply. Yeah. Now in this case here, let's look at price PA, where at price PA, see quantity supplied is QB and quantity demand is at QA. Yeah, it's at the demand curve. So the quantity demand is greater than the quantity supply. So over here, the economy is experiencing a shortage, or we call it excess demand. So now, what will the producers do? The producers will want to take advantage. They will increase the price. So the law of supply, when the price increases, quantity supply is going to increase. So can you see, as the price is increasing from PA to PE, the quantity supply is going to increase from QB to QE. But on the consumer side, what happens? When the price increases, quantity demand is going to decrease, where the quantity demand initially was at here, yeah, point D, QA. Now it will decrease. Okay, moving to QE. Now automatically the economy will again go back to its equilibrium. Now we want to see how the equilibrium point changes if there's going to be a shift in the demand curve. Yeah. So let's say we assume that the equilibrium was at point E0 and this was the price P0 and Q0. Now let's say if the demand shifts to the right, let's say one of the determinant of demand, let's say income, assuming this is normal good and income increases. Now we know for normal good, when income increases, demand will shift to the right. So in this case here, as income increased, okay, demand shifted to the right. So it shifted here from D0 to D1. Yeah. So what happens here now? We need to understand the mechanics a bit. Now, when the demand shifts from D0 to D1, now what happens at this initial price? At this initial price, the quantity demanded change from Q0 to Q1. and the quantity supply, okay, try to look at the supply curve, will remain at Q0. Yeah, so technically we can say that this demand curve here, okay, do not exist anymore. Yeah, it's no longer here because it has already shifted. So if it has already shifted, it means the supply is here at Q0, supply curve, and the demand, it's on the new demand, which is D1, and the quantity is Q1. Now, what is happening here? The economy is experiencing what? Demand, quantity demand, which is Q1, greater than quantity supply. So the economy here is experiencing a shortage. Now, what happens when the economy is experiencing a shortage? Producer will increase the price, right? So when the producer increase the price, what happens? Quantity supply is going to increase. So can you see? Now the quantity supply will increase from Q0 to a new point. Okay, I'm not going to put the point yet. Now what will the consumers do? As the price increases, quantity demand is going to decrease. Yeah, so the quantity demand now is going to decrease. Here, from Q1, quantity demand will decrease. From Q0, quantity supply will increase. And automatically, the economy now will achieve a new point, which we call, let's say, Q star here. Right? So this is going to be the new equilibrium point, which is E1. So you see, when the demand shifted from D0 to D1, shortages has pushed the economy into a new equilibrium point where the quantity is Q star and the price is much higher, which is P1 here. Yeah, so this is how you look into this scenario. So I'll just put back the original demand here. Okay, so you need to understand where does the shortage happens. So what you can do now is try to see what happens when the demand shifts to the left. Let's say from D0 to D2. So this was the original price. Now, you try to draw the diagram and try to check at price P0, what is the economy experiencing. Okay, so it means that DO doesn't exist anymore. You have D2. So at P0, if you check, the economy will be experiencing a surplus. Now that's on you. Next, we want to see how will the equilibrium price change if there's going to be shift in supply. So let's say one of the determinant of supply, which is cost of production. Yeah, cost of production decreases. So we know if the cost of production decreases, supply curve will shift to the right from S0 to S1. Yeah, so let's see what happens now when supply curve shifts to the right. So technically we can see from here, okay, this supply curve does not exist anymore. Okay, it's not there anymore. So what I want you to do is that try to focus here. So the quantity supply now is at Q1. This is quantity supply. And the quantity demand will be on the demand curve here. Okay, this curve here. So it will be at this point here. This will be your quantity demand. So what is happening here? Your quantity supply is greater than your quantity demand. Therefore, the economy is experiencing a surplus. Okay, at this point here, there's a surplus. This is your quantity supply. This is your quantity demand. Now, if the economy is experiencing a surplus, what the producer will do? The producers will reduce the price because they have to clear the stock. Automatically, quantity supply will also decrease. So can you see? When they reduce the price, the quantity supply will decrease here. From Q1, it will decrease. How about the consumers? When the price decreases, quantity demand is going to increase. So can you see? Quantity demand here will increase. So automatically what happens? The economy will achieve a new equilibrium point here. Where? So automatically Q star will be the new quantity and P1 will be the new price. So that's how the economy will achieve the new equilibrium point. So can you see? It's always driven by shortages and surpluses. Shortages push the price higher and surpluses will push the price down. So what I want to do now is, let's say if the supply shifts to the left, what happens? Try to check what happens at the original price. S0 doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, so you will see that the economy will experience a shortage. Try to draw an experience.